Someone says, any advice for a low self-esteem? Well, if you have a low self-esteem, chances are it's not based in reality. You know, a lot of people who have low self-esteem or lack of confidence are just really hard on themselves. They struggle to celebrate wins. They struggle to pat themselves on the back. So the first thing to do would be to start to actually celebrate little wins. You know, I struggled with low self-esteem at points in my life. I remember working with a coach when I was really down and out, depressed, having a tough time. And she tasked me with doing 3 1% actions every day for a week. And let me tell you guys, I was embarrassed for these 1% actions. My 1% actions were to make my bed, drink a glass of water when I wake up, and leave the house. And I was really embarrassed to even say those out loud. But the truth was I was struggling with those things. And if I was struggling with those things, I thought I was struggling with everything, hence the low self-esteem, low confidence. And so we started tracking these. And I felt, again, embarrassed to do it. But as I started taking these things on, very gradually, and we'd meet to talk, and she'd say, how'd it go? And I go, well, I did a couple times, and now I'm feeling embarrassed again because I couldn't do it every single day. And then she's like, okay, what worked? Which was a new kind of question for me. Not like, what did you do right? What worked? I was like, well, what worked was putting a glass of water next to my bed when I woke up. She's like, okay, great. What else worked? Well, it actually really worked. When I made my bed, I had kind of this sense of like pride. Even though nobody saw it, I just felt like, okay, I did something. It's like, okay, great, let's build on that. And so I spent quite a bit of time, weeks that would turn into months of building on these 1% actions. And as I did, I started to feel a little more confident in myself. Started to feel a sense of accomplishment, not in comparison to other people, not trying to copy what someone else is doing or do what try to be like them. Just like, I want to be better than me yesterday, by 1% only. And incredible thing happens when you start to celebrate these little wins. You build momentum, and you feel more confident to do bigger things. And it just grows from there. That was a hard time in my life. My dad just died. I was going through a breakup, a lot of challenging life circumstances. And if it wasn't for coaching, who knows where I would stay stuck in those situations. That's why I love coaching. That's why I still have a coach. That's why I am a coach. To unstick us in those environmental factors that typically have our life stay limited. But clearly there's people who change things in impossible circumstances or difficult circumstances. It's not about luck. So what is it about then? Well, I believe it's about a number of things. It's about daily 1% improvement. It's about patting yourself on the back. It's about accepting compliments. It's about creating a future that excites you and taking tiny little steps towards it. It's about practicing being the kind of person that's a match for this incredible future that you want, bit by bit. That's how I would, long-winded answer, that's how I would improve self-esteem.